Just so you know, you're not muted.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
How are you?
Fine, I can hear you clicking.
You see I got a flag?
No, but I'm going to mute until we start.
Okay.
Hi, Tom. It's Sandra. I just wanted to say hi since I see your face just sitting there.
Hey, Sandra, how are you?
I'm good, thanks.
All right.
I had a very COVID day today, so I'm not attending with video.
A very COVID day?
A very COVID day, meaning I did not do much with my hair or makeup.
Ah,
It's how most of us live these days, isn't it?
my hair is going to get out of control by the time I can get my hair cut.
One of the funniest things I saw on Facebook was, and now 81% of the blondes in the world have disappeared.
Yeah.
I fall into that category, although I did get my hair done right before the right before this happened, so I'm a little bit behind where other people are.
Yeah. Or you might see a bunch of botched hair colorings.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, back like what we used to look like in college when we did our All right. Well, I'm gonna mute you back up again.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, cool.
Tom,
Yep.
are you able to record this meeting as the admin of the meeting?
Yeah, it's recording.
Oh, okay, great. Thanks.
Yep.
I'm going to be listed on here twice because my work computer crashed, so I'm using my home laptop.
Filming dating life is much less complicated. She's been with her musician boyfriend Pedro for 2.5 years. You posted a great video with your boyfriend. You two singing.
Tom, are you able to kick my other spot off of there or no?
Let me see.
I kind of don't want to take up room if somebody else is coming in.
Well, room for 100.
Oh, never mind then.
Yeah, I can get rid of that.
Thanks.
There we go.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yep.
Hey, Tom. Hello there.
Hey, Wayne.
Everything seems to be working, I guess.
That's always good.
All right. Let's get a better setting back here. Where do I want to be?
Where are you, Wayne?
Well, let's change it. Let's go to Florida.
Oh,
Oh, you're playing with the backgrounds.
there you go.
The better?
Okay, that's pretty
Yes.
awesome.
There we go. Nice tropical breeze.
I'm hiding in my closet right now, so that's probably why I don't have my face on.
It is amazing to me the number of people who tell me when I've been doing a lot of video trainings lately that, oh, I don't have a camera. You liar, you have a camera. I had a group on today of like 10 people and like half of them, oh, my camera's not working. Oh, you know what? My audio's going on. I'm just going to listen. I'll yeah.
That background is awesome.
Yeah,
We usually use Planet Earth.
do you?
Mhm. So you
That
can
sounds
see
pretty
the-
good.
Yeah, it's fun.
Let's go to San Francisco. That's nice.
San Francisco, the Golden Gate Bridge, we use that one too. I like that one.
Clearly, I have to play on this a little bit more, I think.
It's way too much fun.
Or I can go to my beach house. That's even better.
I don't like what it does to my hair, so I don't use it. It like cuts part of my hair off all the time. It's really weird. So
Well, you've got a lot of hair, so I feel like
do.
that's okay.
it looks very odd. So yeah.
Who's actually the host? Tom, Michelle? Which one of you's got control?
I do.
Oh, okay.
We'll know who to blame.
Absolutely.
$14 participants online so far.
Ooh, I have time to open up my water. It won't sound like I'm opening a beer. It's just water.
Okay, everyone, I've got 7 o'clock. So welcome to the second virtual meeting of the city of Delafield. We'll get the Common Council meeting agenda started here with call the Common Council order meeting and stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the
To the
flag
flag of the United
States of America.
United States of America.
The republic for which it
Public
stands,
for
Republic
which it stands,
which it stands,
one nation under God,
one nation under God.
indivisible,
indivisible.
with liberty and justice for all.
Liberty and justice for all.
Nice touch, Tom, with the flag. Thank you.
That was pretty good.
Brian.
That was pretty good.
Okay, Michelle, can you help us with the roll call, please?
Sure can. Doug Saloga.
Here,
I see him. Jim Barron. I don't see him yet. Jackie Valdy.
I'm here.
Wayne Dean.
Here.
Matt Grimmer.
Here.
Kevin Maples.
here,
Tim Eicher.
Here.
Tom Hafner.
Here.
Ken Atwell.
Present.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the first order of business is a public hearing number 1 Gulf Road Special Assessment, applicant City of Delafield. Matter, reopen the public hearing regarding the special assessment to be levied against benefited property owners as a result of the construction and reconstruction of a public road known as Gulf Road and the related improvements, including the installation of a roundabout. We're just asking to postpone this, so there won't be any citizens' comments or public hearing comments. Recommend postponement until May 4th, 2020 in order to provide sufficient notice to property owners of the results of the additional assessments methodology being considered.
And the council should make a motion to postpone it.
Correct.
I'll move.
I'll second.
Thank you.
Great. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, one question. Do we have a published, is there going to be a spreadsheet? Maybe it's in the packet. I didn't see it, but is there going to be a spreadsheet of how these different formulas impact the individual?
Yeah, Tim, you will have that for the next meeting. And that spreadsheet went out to the assessed property owners late last week.
Okay, great, good.
So all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? Passes. Next item is a special order of business, recognition of Kevin Maples and appreciation for his dedicated service to the city of Delafield. And I'd personally like to thank you, Kevin, for all the work that you did during your term.
Thanks, Kevin. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank each of you for the training and the time, and I'd love to say that every moment was enjoyable. Most of it was enjoyable, and I'm willing to help out whenever I can in the future.
Please, don't be a stranger.
Thanks, Kevin.
Thank you again. Thank all of you.
Thanks, Kevin.
Thanks, Kevin.
Okay, so we'll move on to the item number 1, City of Delafield citizens' comments. Let's keep them to 3 minutes at a maximum, please. And Tom, are we going to do the raised hands, or you just want me to go by the names I see? What is your preference?
Yeah, right now, Kent, I just have everybody unmuted. So if there's just a few comments, I think we could probably handle it just by asking for comments.
With the name and an address, please.
Yeah, so would anybody like to go first? Any citizens' comments for items pertaining to or off the agenda? Hearing none, citizens' comments are now closed. Okay, we'll move on to item number 2, consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of March 14th and April 7th?
So moved.
I'll second.
Thank you.
All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? Passes. Okay, we'll move on to item number 3, committee reports. Licenses?
No licenses, thank you.
Great. Now, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the only report we're going to have is Planning Commission. So if you have another committee report, I'm pretty sure most of them have been postponed, but if not, I'll just ask for whoever has a report to give, and once we're done with that, we'll move on to number 4, unfinished business. So Mr. Eicher, Planning Commission?
Yeah, we've got 2 items here. The first is an amended conditional use for the Nagawicca Yacht Club. The quick summary of it is the fact that they've had a canopy type party tent that they've installed each year and taken down, and they're looking to have a permanent pavilion put in place. And along with that, just a couple other minor improvements that don't impact the site. I think aesthetically, it's probably more attractive than the temporary shelter they've had in the past. And the Plan Commission approved this, I'm going to say 2 months ago, unanimously. Maybe it was at the last meeting, but this was a quick, easy approval. It's an upgrade aesthetically as far and physically as well.
Yeah, look nice.
So with that, I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Thank you.
All righty. Is there any discussion? I'm sorry, was that somebody that had a discussion? Okay, hearing none. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? Passes. Okay, item 3B. Mr. Iker?
Let's see here.
Discussion and possible action regarding zoning text.
Oh, yeah,
amendment
this
to
one's,
repeal and recreate.
this is so old, it's new again. So Scott Hussinger worked for quite some time, and this was with Roger and I'm sure others at City Hall. It refines and more clearly defines exactly what a fence is and how to regulate them. It's not more imposing on people. It's really, I think one of the catalysts for bringing this up was some certain kind of makeshift spike fences and things like that, where they just weren't clearly defined enough. And so Scott did a lot of work to get this thing tuned up, and it's really just, it's an upgrade to what we had before.
I'm thrilled to see it, to be honest. I've spent over the years on Common Council more than a small amount of time on fence issues. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, and it also still allows the Plan Commission to refer, to make exceptions where necessary. But this really just empowers neighbors to get along, I think. But I'll make a motion to approve the item 3B.
I'll second.
Thank you.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
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 Jim Barron is here now.
Oh, hi, Jim.
Hi, Jim.
I had difficulty getting the computer to find the page.
Got it. All opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. Okay, we'll move on down to number 4, unfinished business.
I do have a short library report.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
That's all right. We did meet last Tuesday via Zoom, and I will, pardon? Okay, I will keep it short. The library staff is working from home. They are sending weekly reports to the director, our director, Stephanie Ramirez, with what is going on. They're keeping up story times and things a couple of our police officers have read. It's pretty cool. The staff is now dealing with the next phase, and that is sort of a semi-opening, and where they are allowing curbside pickup. So the library staff is actually, or the library board is meeting via Zoom again tomorrow evening to discuss exactly how that's going to work mechanically. They're working on the logistics and looking down the road too for when the library opens even more. And they're coordinating with other library boards and library directors throughout the state. So yeah, that's it. There are minutes that will be posted, but we did meet.
Great, thank you.
Hey, Jackie, I have a question for you. Is there any concern over how this shutdown is going to impact the TNRs and how the formula works for funding going into next year? Is there any discussion on that at all?
Not really. Right now, they're trying to deal with like how they're just functioning, but yeah, that's going to come up. Definitely. I don't know that it's going to change the formulas so much, mostly because everybody's in the same pause. So I think our formulas will be very similar. So there wasn't a lot of worry expressed. Stephanie's a very, very thorough person, but I can definitely get back to you if there is a concern.
Well, yeah, I just weigh in the fact that since it's such an anomaly, what's going on this year, I think it'd be fairly prudent to rely on maybe a rolling average of previous years or something like that, so that there's not a big swing, because we're pretty reliant upon that. And I think that would be a decent thing to do so that
Yeah,
everyone's kind of in the same boat.
Yeah, I suspect that is what will happen, but rather than, speak like it's a fairy tale, I will, I'll get in touch with Stephanie and make sure that that is in fact the case, all right? But there was no expression of worry at our meeting last week.
Good to know. Thank you.
Yeah.
Are there any other committees that that the chairman would like to share? All right, hearing none, we'll move on to item number 4, unfinished business. We have none. Item number 5, mayor's report. Discussion and action to approve Kevin Maples' resignation from the Lake Welfare Committee effective April 1st, 2020.
So moved.
I reluctantly second.
Thank you.
I recuse myself.
You do have an interest in the outcome.
All righty, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. Okay, we'll move on to item number 6, new business. Discussion and possible action to approve the resolution supporting the reopening of Lapham Peak Park. I'm going to turn this one over to Tim and Tom.
Yeah, so I had about 4 or 5 people reach out to me, just kind of with, pleading, is there anything that the city can do? And I said, well, we could support a good plan to reopen it. And I just drafted a resolution to kind of reinforce the fact that I think access to 1,000 acres of open space would be a good thing for our citizens. And so it's not really blasting anything. It's really just saying, I think good minds can come up with a decent plan to get this park open.
I've read it and I fully support it.
Yeah, I do too. It's a good document, and open spaces, it's very easy to keep your distance when you've got that many acres of open space.
Well, this is Wayne, and I don't support it. I've had conversations with the DNR. My feeling is if I vote for this, I'm saying that I have better knowledge or that I'm more informed than our state representatives and our state DNR and health officials. The problem wasn't necessarily people walking on the trails. That obviously is not a problem. People are social distancing, but there was over 300 people in the parking lot in close proximity, certainly violating the social distancing recommendations. What's happening is the people are, over 11,000 people went to the park over the weekend. Now, one could say, yeah, but over 1,100 acres, that's only 11 people per acre, but the people weren't spread out. People are congregating in close proximity. Litter is an issue, but it wasn't the only issue. It was that people were violating and were being civil disobedience. And I don't think we're smarter than our health officials. Nobody's going to die if we don't open up the parks in a couple of weeks, but somebody could die if we do. So I'm strongly against going against the state's recommendations from our health officials to open up the park.
I would have to echo that, Wayne. Thank you. I'm a trail runner. I've been a runner for over 40 years. And I love those hills and I miss them. But I have been in Lapham Peak on a Sunday afternoon and seen the crowds. It's astonishing. And you're right, when you're on the trail, you can, especially when you get out further away from the parking lots, it gets pretty quiet. My concern has been reading some of the articles preparing for tonight. I was amazed at, like there was vandalism even at Lapham Peak. I saw what I knew were not people from the same household. There were too many of them and they were similar. They were probably like me with my sisters, hanging out with our kids and all walking in big clumps. They were out in the park, they were enjoying it. It's great, but it's not safe. I think my concern is if we had a plan to limit numbers, not make the park free, limit the crowd size, enforce fines for people who were not keeping a social distance. I mean, people were stealing hand sanitizer from the parks. So shame on us, Wisconsin. We brought the closure on ourselves. I am all for supporting, like, please, let's open them, but I don't think we are wiser. It felt to me, my letters, I got 3. They all read the same. It just feels a little wag the dog. There are plenty of places to walk. So I thank you, Wayne, for checking.
Also remember, 66% of the public surveyed said they don't favor opening up too soon, that they're more concerned. So though we get 3 or 4 people, and that's all I got was 4 people said they want us to pass this, I think that many people that would rather us take the safe route did not communicate because they didn't know this was going on.
And nobody
I think
likes.
one point of this document is we're not proposing the solution. We're saying that we would prefer they find a better solution so they can open the parks. There's any number of things that they could do to implement the opening differently than what they had before. But my sentiment when I read this is that they need to find a way to safely open the parks as opposed to just closing them down.
And those are reasonable points that Wayne and Jackie bring up, that you had this overwhelming number of people on a beautiful day say, I'm trapped at home, I can't go anywhere, but I can go to the park. But I see it in my neighborhood here too. I mean, people, and out on the street, people are, most of them are keeping a good distance, but some, feel comfortable and violate the mitigation that the Department of Health Services is trying to do. If it were me and my family and we went there and there were, it was overwhelmed with people, we would turn around and head back the other way. I do want to have a little bit of faith and confidence in the public to do the right thing. To the mayor's point, I think it's this document, I view it as a way to find a way to open up the park safely. If there is an addendum that we can make to possibly limit the crowd size, limit the scope of the opening, I would be in support of that. But I think we have to have a little bit of faith.
Aren't we being hypocritical though? We're closing our own parks. We're having meetings like this virtually because people are concerned. Yet we're trying to say that we endorse trying to open up the park. I think that the state doesn't need us to do a non-binding resolution to come up with ways to safely open the park. I've not talked to the DNR. They're thinking of different things to do, but right now they just don't think it's safe and reasonable to do.
Yeah, but this meeting is in a confined space at City Hall. And when we have that conversation, I'll be arguing, the same thing that you are, just in a different vein. In City Hall, there's 500 square feet, and we're inviting the public within that confined space. That's the difference that I see. I appreciate.
Yeah.
Tom, I have a question. Are our parks closed?
No, I was just going to chime in. Our parks are not closed. Our playgrounds and our park bathrooms are closed.
So Wayne and Jackie, should we close our parks?
I don't think we've seen the problem that precipitated the closure of the state parks. Recall that the state parks were not only open, they were free.
I'm recommending that we chime in support of a plan.
But we don't have a plan.
One of the parks. I don't know what went on at other parks.
Yeah, I don't see a plan there. So that's where I parted ways with the document. I don't see a size limit, or maybe reinstigate charging admission fees. That might limit the numbers. So without that plan, I have a hard time getting my head around supporting it. It just feels like, let's armchair quarterback the governor. I'm not willing to do it. And
so how about I suggest an amendment, and that because the resolution is saying that we support a plan that will promptly reopen Lapham Peak Park. How about if we just put promptly and safely reopen Lapham Park? Do we support a plan to do that?
I'm not sure it's an appropriate resolution to make this official declaration. I think we would be better served to respect the opinions of health experts, epidemiologists, and not just not wade into this. I would really love to see the park open safely, but I'm not sure it's not our place to make that statement.
We should, you just did though.
I just said that it's not our place to make that
No,
statement.
you said you'd like to see it open safely, and then
I
you
would
said
love
it's
it,
not our
yeah.
place.
Yeah.
Then it's not our place to make the statement.
No, yeah. Personally, as a citizen of Delafield, I really would love to see Lapham Peak open. As a member of the Common Council, I'm not sure it's an appropriate spot or role for us. Does that make sense?
No,
Me,
it does not.
it does.
Anyway, I'm perplexed, but that's fine.
Yeah.
We'll just sit here and wait and see if anybody wants to do anything, and we shouldn't weigh in on what our constituents think. We should just sit and wait. So I disagree.
I had exactly none of my constituents. There were people from the city, but no one who lived in District 3 contact me about this. If one person did, I respect that and I agree. I just feel like the state needs to come up with a plan, not us to jump on something. It seems out of line in the middle of a global pandemic that we're complaining about, this. What are we going to do if we have to ration? We won't have to ration gas, that's for sure, but I don't know, sugar.
All right. Is there any other discussion?
I'm in support of it, so.
I agree. This is Doug. I have heard from my constituents. They love the outdoors as much as they need groceries. They need air and space, and some people are limited to that.
I will say that the crowds are a problem. It's going to have to be, if we encourage them to do this, they're going to have to open it safely. I have relatives from Brookfield, I think 2 Sundays ago, they came out, stopped by safely, and then they said, we're all going to go walk in the park. And I thought, oh, that was a good idea, but I'm sure it was that busy Sunday.
It was. I was there. I was there at 1:30 and left at 3. And that was when there were I don't know if they were National Guard or somebody, but they literally stopped people from going in about 3:15 on that Sunday.
They drove down to Highway 18 and parked there and walked in.
Yeah.
On the trail.
I have a friend who's got a $200 ticket for doing that.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I mean, I just, as a sentiment of a neighbor, I just think we should support it.
I'm used to losing.
I think it's a good discussion, right? I mean, it's a good, respectful discussion, and I'm glad we're having it.
Mm-hmm.
And to both Matt and Tim's point, the goal is to set up guidelines for safety, right? I mean, obviously grocery stores have been doing it, other essential areas and businesses have been able to establish that. I think we can do it here. And with some of the other golf places opening up, I think there might be enough distribution where we hopefully won't have the crowding problem, but there might be a plan that the state officials and the DNR can help put in place for that.
Yeah, I agree. Charging admission fees again might lower crowds, limiting the size, but it's not in this, and maybe it shouldn't be in this declaration. I don't know, but I just feel like I need a lot of specifics that aren't there.
Okay, is there anyone?
Well, I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2020 with the addition of the line under the second to last paragraph. Now therefore be it resolved, the city of Delafield supports a plan that will promptly reopen Lapham Peak Park. And I'm going to add, consistent with the strategies set forth by the CDC to mitigate mitigate disease transmission.
I'll second that.
Thank you.
Alrighty, is there any discussion? Okay, I'm gonna, because I'm not sure who's gonna vote where, I'm gonna ask Michelle to do a roll call vote.
Sure. Doug Saloga,
Yes.
Jim Barron,
Yes.
Jackie Valdi,
Nope.
Wayne Dean,
No.
Matt Grimmer. Matt Grimmer.
Yes.
Okay. Kevin Maples,
No.
Tim Eicher.
Yes.
Thank you.
Great,
It's 4-3.
motion passes. Thank you very much. Okay, we'll move on to 6B, discussion of possible action regarding the 2020-2021 liquor license fee for small businesses during the COVID-19 pandemic. This is an issue I asked to have put onto the agenda, and I asked Michelle and Tom to do a little research for me, and they were able to come back with the data that I needed. And I'm desperate and would like to find some ways that the city can help bring some relief to our small business operators who are under extreme stress right now. And one of the ways I thought of doing that was to cut the liquor licenses in half. And with a thorough review of the data and the information that's in your packet, you can see that this, if approved, the list of the Class B licenses targets only our local businesses. It doesn't provide this relief to our larger merchants like Target and Walgreens and Walmart and things like that. It's targeted at really our local restaurants. So my proposal is that a typical $600 annual fee be reduced to $300, and a couple of the other ones from, as it says in your packet, from the current cost of $100 annually to $50 annually, and the current cost of $200 annually to a cost of $100 annually. So if you were to approve it based on our estimated income from this year, it would be a reduction of revenue from the operating budget of $5,400. So I put it up for discussion. I strongly support this, and I'm hoping others on the council will as well.
I like it, Kent.
All right, this is Wayne. Let me explain. So we're reducing our budget by $5,200 and spreading it out across. How many people will benefit? How many businesses will benefit from this?
The ones that sell liquor under a class, or the ones that sell under a Class B permit in the city.
And how many is that?
24.
So 24 divided into 52 or 5,400 doesn't seem like a significant savings for some of these people, like it's going to make any difference. To me, it looks like this was done specifically to the benefit of the Nagawaka Yacht Club and the American Legion.
I really don't have any idea how, I don't know if you looked at the packet, Wayne, but there's a really detailed list of all of the businesses, whether it's Lumber Inn, Kurt's Steakhouse, Grill Junkies, Fish Bones. It's all the places that you'd be familiar with in the city of Delafield that you go and order food and purchase alcoholic beverages from. These are the ones that have been shut down. These are the ones that are suffering the most. And it's something the city can do, right?
It's $326 per business for the 22 businesses. So $236 I don't think is saving them much. I think it's grandstanding to a couple small businesses. I don't think the city can afford it. We're going to be losing so much money in revenue during this. I don't think we should be cutting. If it was a significant amount, really going to make a difference for any business, but I don't think any business is going to lose on $236. I think the city needs to start being a little bit more selfish with our money, because we're going to be running into many, many shortfalls. So that's my opinion.
fair enough. I mean, would you like it to be more, or are you saying the opposite? It should be zero.
I don't think it's something we should be thinking about right now. I don't think it's a significant savings to anybody right now. I don't think it really solves any problem for anybody. It's too soon for us to be thinking about doing something like that. I don't think the city has the funds to start giving that kind of money out anyway.
Well, I'd like to weigh in and just say, if we were charging for a service and we denied them access to that service for a certain period of time, I think it'd be horribly unethical for us to charge them for something they can't use.
Sure, if it was
for the last
if
couple,
we were causing it, but we're not causing it. We're not doing it.
Okay, all right.
But these are the lifeblood of our city. I mean, like some of the businesses mentioned are, you know, they are Delafield, in my opinion, and it is a small amount of money in terms of, say, what it's costing the city. But I think it's more of a way to, I don't know, like a good faith gesture. It's not like, hey, we're going to pay your liquor fee. We're just trying to reduce it. I have a feeling when folks, you know, can hit the restaurants, I'm planning to make a lot of reservations, you know, so it will come back. But right now it's hurting. So it's just a good faith gesture. So I see it as a small chunk of change. And right now people are hurting.
Either way, we are trying to collect money for something we know they can't use. And I think it's wrong to do that. I think we should extend any kind of courtesy we can to lighten the burden. Even if it's a nickel, I think the $200, $250 is at least, it's the least we can do. That's all I gotta say about that.
I am concerned about the lost revenue, but I think they have a tough time, and I think we have to demonstrate something to say we hear. Yeah, I was going to suggest, okay, you could take it down a quarter because they're probably losing a quarter of their year. My other idea would be on the renewal, maybe they paid $25 and then pay the rest in 6 months or something. I mean, it's another thought.
I like that one.
I think some of these restaurants have no money. As far as I'm concerned, the yacht club can pay the regular fee. Now, someone might complain, but we're not hurting that way.
You got to be consistent, Jim.
I know. It's.
And what about the businesses that are still open, like Daybreak is still selling liquor and beer, and so is Quick Trip.
Daybreak would not count because they are a Class A. This is only specifically for Class Bs. And if you do want to reduce it to a small amount now, I'm just going to remind you guys that there's a $50 minimum for a lot of these by law, so it wouldn't be able to be 25.
Yeah, and on that list, there's, you know, like you said, the Daybreak is a Class A. So it's the Class B.
Correct. Class B only.
Okay.
I specifically targeted this at the businesses that aren't able to sell beverages. People can't take it off premise, and that's exactly what the rule changes have prevented them from doing.
Well, I'll make a motion to support it as proposed.
I'll second.
Thank you.
All right. Is there any other discussion? Okay, again, because I'm hearing some possible disagreement, I'm going to ask Michelle to do a roll call vote just so we're clear on who's voting what.
Sure. Doug Saloga?
Yes.
Jim Barron?
Yes.
Jackie Valdi?
Yes.
Wayne Dean?
No.
Matt Grimmer?
Yes.
Kevin Maples?
No.
Tim Eicher?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Great, motion passes. Thank you very much. Okay, we're going to move on to 6C, general discussion and possible action regarding the city's response to the COVID-19 pandemic, including staffing modifications and service levels. Pass the ball to you, Tom.
Yeah, I just want to give the council a brief update on what we're doing with regards to staffing. Jackie gave a good overview of what's going on in the library. Stephanie and her staff are doing an awesome job of getting content online. The governor's new order opens up the allowance for curbside pickup at libraries, and Stephanie's working hard on doing that. So things are good in the library. As far as at City Hall and our administrative staff, we are splitting our crews so that the employees are working in the office about half the time, and then they're working from home about half the time. At this point, I am in the office full-time, returning to work. With regards to our public works crews, for the first 4 weeks of the stay-at-home order, we were isolating crews. Each member of the crew was working another week, and our administrative foreman, he was working exclusively from home. Starting today, we have gone back to all the public works employees, with the exception of that foreman. All the other public works employees are going to be working every day again now, but we're doing everything we can to maintain that isolation between those two crews that we've established. We're doing different start times, different end times, break times. Half the crew will be taking breaks out in the field and whatnot, as opposed to DPW, and just practicing all the CDC guidelines with regards to separation as much as possible. Police department, they haven't changed much with regards to staffing. They're naturally set up with the 3 shifts to provide isolation between employees. The one staffing thing that they've done is our police captain is working exclusively from home, doing an amount of isolation, so that if we had an issue with the police department, we do have an isolated employee. Any questions about that or concerns?
So did we actually lay people off or furlough?
We did not. As far as the public works employees, and we talked about this with the council actually before the initial stay-at-home order, the council passed a motion allowing them to use sick leave if required to stay at home for COVID-19 related issues. Employees weren't exactly thrilled about having to use sick leave. Remember, we did exempt them from the Family First Coronavirus Act, but things have smoothed over pretty well with the employees. They understand why we're doing what we're doing. And like I said, starting today, we're back to all the public works employees working. Everybody
Tom, with
Go
the
ahead, Matt.
adjusted work schedule, are you having any challenges finding them enough work to do? Working from home, working odd hours, is it a challenge finding them enough to do?
So it hasn't been a problem for anybody outside of the public works employees. Public works employees, several of them literally don't have computers at home, just don't have the ability to do things, not to mention that they're generally blue collar. I gave them all the opportunity that I could set up trainings for them or some different records management jobs for them if they chose to work from home rather than use sick leave. And in general, they just weren't interested in that type of thing, and they were just really anxious to get back to work. And it's part of the reason why we've gone away from the total isolation.
Well, I would think in spring you're always busy, aren't you?
Jim, we're always busy all year round.
Pick up.
Good answer. Good answer.
So it's just a testament that we're being flexible, right? Where the different department heads are trying different things with their teams, and if they're finding that initial ideas maybe weren't as successful as we might have hoped, we're flexible. We're making those changes. So I appreciate that from all the department heads, having that flexibility and figuring out how to get it done.
Yeah, and if the council's concerned about what we did with regard to having those employees at home and being paid, albeit with their sick leave, most municipalities in the state did the same thing with their public works employees, and they're continuing to do the same thing. An example is the village of Heartland. They don't foresee bringing back the Public Works employees full-time in the foreseeable future. And they're purely paying those employees to stay home. They're considering it their job to stay home and stay safe so that, one exposure doesn't wipe out the entire DPW crew to quarantine.
Alrighty, if there aren't any other questions for Tom on that subject, hearing none, we'll move on to.
Ken?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, on that same subject, I intended to get into a discussion with the council about the issue about in-person versus online meetings.
Oh, sure, go ahead. Yeah, sorry.
I've heard different opinions from different council members as far as preferences, and I think staff would just really appreciate direction on that. In my mind, I think it's best to stay online for a while. I don't think there's any need for us to do in person. Certainly you do lose body language and things like that when you're doing it online, but I think we're able to manage and everyone can get their message across.
I would agree, and I would draw a distinction between the vote that we did 5-10 minutes ago between an open space where there's an ability to social distance and a closed space like council chambers. Also, inviting the folks that come and see us, come to attend these public meetings are not usually the 20-somethings and 30-somethings. There are more vulnerable populations. And I just think that I think it's safer, as you've mentioned, Tom, to keep these meetings online.
I was one that called around to the mayor and Tom and said I thought we should try and make the meetings work in the council chambers. This one seems to be working fine tonight. I feel like we could spread out, and yes, the door would be open, but we would enforce, I suppose if so many people showed up, we can't have a meeting. That would be the case if 250 people showed up. I am concerned once we get into some of our more difficult issues that you almost lose. You wouldn't really, not that this is a jury trial, but you wouldn't conduct a jury trial on Zoom. I think it's good that they're recording this now so people can watch this meeting. That was my concern in the last meeting. There was no recording. So I'm satisfied right now, but I do think once we get a bigger issue where we may have to meet with a developer or a proposer or someone petitioning us, I feel like we could set the room up to be safe, but
so I just want to chime in on two things. One is I embrace online meetings. I mean, I do them for my regular job for years and years. They require a little bit of different management, right? And the first meeting, we didn't have the ability to mute people, which was a real concern of mine. So anybody could get on here and just start playing music, and there was nothing we could do to stop it. They would have totally disrupted the meeting. Just in the last few days, Tom's been able to upgrade the system so that now we can mute people, right? We have some ability to control the process, which I thought is a really high risk. So that's definitely, I feel more comfortable with it moving forward now that we have some control. But the second point I want to make is to Jim's point for Planning Commission. We held a meeting last month successfully in the council chambers. Everybody was separated. I don't know if you had a chance to look at it on TV or not, or on YouTube, but we were following all the CDC guidelines, right? And we plan to use the TV that's in the lobby outside to provide additional seating. And we strongly encourage people to provide written comments. But if they come and need to speak, then we are going to cue them following CDC guidelines, have them take a turn. And then if there's a seat left in the room based on safe numbers of people, then they can have it. Otherwise, they'll be asked to move back out to the lobby and keep separated. So as far as the planning commission is concerned, I just think that's a little different entity. There's definitely drawings and things that have to be shown. And while it might be possible on a virtual meeting, we're not ready for that. Certainly not for the planning commission at the end of this month, in my opinion.
I'll have to say that, I agree with Jim that we should make every effort to try to get open and public with in-face meetings as soon as possible. There's a certain dynamic when it comes to public hearings in particular, where, some people will, piggyback on other people's ideas. Feedback will spawn additional either criticism or suggestions that are constructive. And, we need that as a community, because we're just the representatives for each district. And when we get 8, 9, 10 people on a roll, let's say, that really helps the process. And I'm not saying, let's fill up City Hall, but this is one of those things I think we really need to stay in tune. I know Tom is, and Kent, you are. Stay in tune with what the other municipalities are doing and what the League of Municipalities is recommending. So if we have to queue people up in the foyer and maybe even outside as the weather gets nicer to conduct some of these public hearings and different activities, I think we need to continue to focus on how we get there as soon as possible.
Yeah, I like that thinking a lot, Tim, especially looking at what the League of Municipalities are recommending rather than what we think. I was uncomfortable for tonight. My hope is that in our next council meeting in 2 weeks, we'll have a better idea of setting it up. I know that, Kent, you've marked things out, in the council chambers so that folks can sit, a safe distance apart. So let's just keep, 2 weeks is a long time right now. It feels like a long time. And so maybe we'll have a better idea. So I much prefer in person.
I just think the one thing we have is this technology with television, and I guess I'm old enough to say this is new technology, but I'm amazed at the people that talk to me on the street that never come to one of our meetings, but they appreciate that they can watch them. And so I think it's a good product. And I also think it's not the most comfortable time to go out, and I just don't see a big crowd showing up. Clearly the door is always open, so any witness can come in and view our proceedings. But I doubt that we'll have a lot of folks. And I like the whole encouragement of written comments anyway. It's helpful to read emails. They swayed me tonight on the Lapham Peak issue. And so, if we could safely do it, I'd like to try and do it, but we'll see. It's just, but the television product is the thing that we have to offer that I think is appreciated.
What about a hybrid approach? I'm not suggesting this for 2 weeks. I think you're all correct that we should, follow where the data goes and infection rates and things like that. And there are all the strategies to mitigate. Is there the potential for having a hybrid approach where you have both an in-person and a Zoom video conference?
I would argue that if we had 1 or 2 council folks that aren't available or want to stay remote for whatever reasons, that we should just do that. Yes, as long as they can hear on a screen.
Yeah.
Matt, I'll just say legally, if you have a physical meeting at City Hall, you're required to let the public in.
And I wasn't saying we wouldn't. And I don't think again, Kent mentions the few rare issues where you might have a large group talking, but most of the time it's 2 or 3 people. And I believe all the time it should be open. And I think most people will say, we understand as long as 1 or 2 citizens can be there or a reporter can be there, I'm comfortable watching the rest of it on television.
And I'm not suggesting limiting the public attendance. I'm suggesting you have both an in-person, so people who are maybe not in the high risk group feel comfortable attending with social distancing put in, but then you also have an online simultaneous for those people maybe at high risk, so they can feel comfortable attending as well.
Well, and I will say the state legislature, they dealt with this issue for the one member who was disabled, and you know, there was resistance, but that's where I'm going. By rule, they finally decided they could split the legislature. So I don't think we're any different.
Yeah,
But
and I don't think we're in a rush
we could
either.
take comment. We could take comment too, if we could figure it out. I just think it's so rare that we have way too many people. And, you know, in the old days, we had way too many people in the small council chamber, and sometimes they had to threaten to quit the meeting, and unless the crowd thinned out. So.
Well, even then we had a TV that went back into the fireman's
Right.
break room,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I've been there. I've been in that break room.
Yeah. But we, you know, also on the table is the fact, I mean, the schools are closed. We've got Cushing School with a big gymnasium right across the street. Maybe, I mean, just as an
We had
idea,
a big issue.
that might work too.
We
Yeah.
could do that.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, it is.
30 years ago, we had 500 that came to a meeting, and that's where we went.
That's a great idea.
Becomes difficult to transfer our TV equipment.
Yeah. I don't think it's a problem at this point. So.
Something to keep under consideration if we think it's needed. Good idea.
Okay, I appreciate everybody's feedback on that.
Okay, is that it on that item, Tom?
It is, yes, thank you.
Great. So we'll move on to item number 7, report of city officials. Back to you, Tom, Ace Administrator.
Yeah, just a couple things to go over. First of all, a reminder that tomorrow is the first meeting of the new Common Council, and that's the organizational meeting. And note that that is a 5:30 start time. Item number 2, our new city planner started on April 1st. No April Fools. She's been really good. Amy Barrow from the county. She's really hit the ground running, showing a lot of initiative. And I think she's going to work out really well for the city. Look forward to each of you having the
I hear the council is, or the county is not happy that they lost. I mean, in a good way, they wish her well, but it's like, gee, she was one of their good planners. So I'm looking for, I don't know that I know her, but I'm looking forward to working with her.
Okay. Let's see. In your packet, I put an update from DOT regarding an upcoming cable guard project on Highway 16. We did respond back with one comment on that. They're proposing to shut down one of the emergency crossovers just east of the city, and our police department expressed a preference for that not to get closed down. I think that was a 2022 project. I'm having trouble finding it right now in my packet.
I saw yeah.
Yeah, my only question, Tom, was that a temporary shutdown of that median where the police go back and forth, or was that permanent? I wasn't sure.
No, they're proposing as permanent.
Oh, okay, permanent.
Right
Okay.
through there. So I'll provide more detail hear back from the DOT on that. And then lastly, update regarding hiring our new finance officer, treasurer person. We had initial interviews last week, Thursday. The interview panel consisted of the mayor, Alderman Eicher, myself, and Michelle Lutke. We had 2 very good interviews, and we are moving forward in the process with those candidates. More to come on that. That's it for my update. Any questions for me? Okay.
Hearing none, we'll move on to 7B, clerk's report.
The only thing I think I have on there, excuse me, is the discussion and action on the voucher list. I understand that I don't have anything for you to sign at this point. So when we do end up having in-person meetings, you're going to have additional sheets to sign. But the items are included in the packet for your review, and I'm just looking for a motion.
Also move to approve.
I'll second.
Second.
Okay, we have a first and a second. Are you clear, Michelle?
Yes, I got it.
Great, thank you. All in favor, say aye.
I have some discussion first.
Aye.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Um,
Jump
just
the
waiting for
gun.
I was just waiting for discussion. Michelle, there seems to be a lot of items on there like lunches for people from the police department. Can we get some more specifics as to what those are for? Reimbursement
Absolutely.
for lunch? Okay.
Can you, do you have a specific amount on there that you, I can't
Well,
see
there
it
was-
right now, but
There was one for Officer Hagan for $72. There was another one for $60. There were several in there, and I was just curious what those were for, why we're paying lunch for the police department. I didn't know
Sure.
if they were going to meetings or what they were. I just want some more specifics.
is that something you want me just to email everybody, or do you want me to bring it to the next meeting?
I don't care how you choose to do it. It's not, I just want to be able to figure out more what that is for.
Okay, will do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just circling back real quick, I found that those dates on the cable guard project, it's planned to be plans completed and bids done in 2022, and then construction in spring of 2023.
I think we only have a first and a second for the voucher list, so I'm looking for everybody else. Kent?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yep, is there any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? Passes. Thank you very much. Okay, 7C, council request for future agenda items. Any,
I actually have one.
okay,
It would be a discussion. I don't know about action, but actually it's rooted in what we talked about earlier, Kent, is I became aware of the fact that we have a opening on a committee that has been vacant for years in an attempt to get people from other districts. But I'm just wondering, do we want to continue with that practice? If we have folks inside the city who are interested in that committee, and just wondering, like, what should be our practice, I guess, is what I would like to discuss as a council.
okay, great.
What committee is that, Jackie?
Lake
Lake
welfare.
welfare.
Okay.
We all know it.
Yes. I think it says in our our state.
I'll just
our
remind you, no
statutes.
discussing of request, no discussion.
Okay.
All righty, anybody else? Hearing none, we'll move on to item 8, correspondence. I'll refer you to the information in the packet. And we'll move on to item 9, adjournment. I will adjourn the meeting at 7:59. Thank you very much all for attending. Have a
See
great
you
evening.
tomorrow.